Hello, Love Wrestling. It is Thursday morning. It is 10 a.m. And you all know what that means. It is another new episode of Firmly AEW. You saw us on Tuesday morning for the debut of Firmly WWE. We are back here on Thursdays. We, had the last couple weeks off. I have been traveling a lot, some personal stuff here or there, but we are back this week, 2 times a week from here on out. As you saw on Tuesday, Drew and I with the debut of Firmly WWE, where we'll be talking about, yes, you guessed it, all things WWE. And here we are again in our original home Thursday mornings at 10 a.m. for Firmly AEW. First and foremost, Drew, before we do, we talk about our sponsors and our friends and all that fun stuff. How we doing this morning, my man?
I am good. The lateness was because of me, everybody. So I apologize for that.
It was my fault on Tuesday, and then it was Drew's turn. So that's
I forgot that my camera wasn't hooked up.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. No, it was all right. At least we weren't 10 or 15 minutes late, like Tuesday, a couple minutes, whatever, Yeah. I was causing major delays on Tuesday because my computer was like, oh, you're starting a show? Well, we need to update. So that's what's going on here. But we are here. We're ready to go. We're ready to talk about this episode of Dynamite last night and kind of how, we're under 3 weeks away from All In. We're at 17 days away from today. Still don't know a ton of them. We know where they're going. We see where they're going. They haven't announced a ton of matches yet for All In. But we can see the card rounding into form. And over the next couple weeks, we're definitely going to get some matches. It's going to be good to go. Scott, good to see you in the chat, my friend. If you are here, you're watching this on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up. Click that bell for notification. The more support we get over there, the more we are able to spread this out to more people, make more content for you. And here at Love Wrestling, that's what we want to do. As you can tell, we have a lot of great people who do a lot of great things, and we want to continue to be doing that for you guys. So the more you guys like, share, promote our stuff as much as we do, the more we'll be able to give to the masses. Before we start diving into this, Drew, I do want to talk about a couple of our friends, a couple of our sponsors. I want to talk about NordVPN. You've seen this, in 17 days from now, a lot of us are going to have to be spending $50 for All In, and then 2 weeks later, $50 more for All Out, and then Wrestle Dream in a month later for $50. It's hard. It's hard when they're ramping it up and doing this stuff. Well, NordVPN, they offer a lot of things, but one things they do offer is you can change your virtual location no matter where you are. And maybe you can say you're somewhere else and you can get those wrestling pay-per-views for a lot cheaper than $50 if you're in a situation where you want to watch these shows, but you can't afford to watch these shows and stuff like that. NordVPN, the safest VPN you can use in all the land. If you're traveling for work, for pleasure, for whatever, and you want to take your home Wi-Fi with you and you want to have the settings that you're used to because it's your everyday, NordVPN allows you to do that. You can bring your home Wi-Fi with you on the road. You don't have to worry about using a Wi-Fi you're unfamiliar with, public, trying to, when you travel and you're signing up for all these Wi-Fis at the hotels and all these places you're at, that's all public Wi-Fi. People can try to take your stuff. They can try to get in there. They can try to steal some of your data and all stuff like that. NordVPN prevents that from happening. They are the safest to use. They are the best to use for all sorts of things. So go check out our friends at NordVPN. If you travel a lot, or even if you just, like I said, if you just want discounts on the wrestling stuff, they can hook you up there too. So they really help you in every facet. You want to go check them out. I've been using them for a few months now. They are excellent. I've been traveling this last month or so a few times, and it's so easy to just have my home Wi-Fi where I need to go, no matter where I am. And they're the safest. I don't have to worry about anything. It's really, really painless. So go check out NordVPN, our friends over there. And then RK Athletics, the original sponsor here at Love Wrestling. Rich King, not only a great professional wrestler, but a great personal trainer, whether you are in the Edmonton area or you do it virtually. I am not in the Edmonton area, and Rich helps me out because he can do it virtually as well. You want to follow RK Athletics 1 on all social media platforms. If you're looking to just eat better, get more physical, be more physically active, just feel better about yourself, Rich King and the gang over at RK Athletics are the group to see. So reach out to them at RK Athletics 1 on all social media platforms. All right. Paid the bills. The bills have been paid. So we're going to dive in here. I will be transparent. I was clearly in Cleveland this past weekend at SummerSlam.
I know exactly what you're about to say.
Not watch Collision.
Neither did I.
Had a busy weekend. It is what it is. Call me unprofessional. Call me what you will. But I was traveling and covering SummerSlam all weekend for Love Wrestling with the WWE. So I did not have a chance to watch Collision. I did read up on what happened, but I did not watch it.
I don't even know what happened. Actually.
So I feel like nothing sizable or super duper. So the way that we're going to do this today is we're going to review Dynamite, and that's how we're going to do it. And then next week we're back at normal. I'm back home. I'm not traveling for a little bit now. I'm not going to have other things. So then we'll start getting back in the swing. But I've been traveling a lot these last couple, 3 times in the last 4 weeks. I've been not home for Collision. So it's been tough to kind of catch up on things. Oh, we got Asian Joe in the chat. Morning, fellas. I just realized that I could listen to JPJ read the warning tag attached to the I try, man. I try. I've been told I have a face for radio. I assume that means the voice as well. But I try, man. You think I could get a gig with that? Do you think I could be a voice actor?
You would definitely have a radio voice.
Right.
I've been actually told too that I have a radio voice.
Yeah. I feel like if you have like a deep, sultry voice of any sort, even though I wouldn't consider my voice to be like deep, but like if you have that type of like soothing kind of deep voice, they say, you could be.
So I don't do it for any podcast that I go on, but I could definitely I could put on the radio voice. We could really talk about,
Yeah.
Oh, and the weather today is all about rain. I can like radio it up if I wanted to.
So we have a local radio station in Massachusetts called Magic 106.7. It might not even be 106.7 anymore. I don't know. But it was called Magic. And there was a DJ. I don't even know if he still does it. But my whole life from like 6 p.m. to nighttime, it was a soft rock channel. That's what I just need to preface. It was a soft rock channel. They had a program called Bedtime Magic. And he would just play soothing, soft rock ballads and all stuff like that. But he had a voice. His name was David Allen Boucher. And he had a voice. Oh, this is David Allen Boucher, Bedtime Magic 106.7. It was kind of like that. It was kind of like that. And I was told growing up, especially when people started finding out that I was going to school for radio and TV and I wanted to be a sports radio guy and things like that, like they would hear me and they would go, oh, you would be like a great replacement for David Allen Boucher when he decides to retire if you wanted to take over Bedtime Magic. And I was like, bro, I'll take over Bedtime Magic all day. You give me that job, I'll do that. I'll sit behind the curtain. I'll just be like, hey, JPJ here, and just kind of, here's Sarah McLachlan with blah, 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 blah. I can make it work. Anyway, all right.
You know what my favorite station was? So I'm gonna not date myself, but I'm going to well, there were 2. I grew up with Z100.
Okay.
Elvis Duran and The Morning Show. Absolutely idolized them growing up. Loved them to death.
Mm-hmm.
The other station that I really loved was WCBS FM.
All right.
And that was the golden oldies station.
Oh,
I know that station, 101.1.
Yep.
That was always on in my grandma's kitchen. So I have a very, very fond memory for the oldies. And
I mean, it's just the way the world works. But all the radio stations that I grew up, like when I was a kid, all the radio stations that I grew up to listening to or like being around my parents or grandparents and they were listening to, they don't exist anymore. Like if I put on the radio now, like if I'm driving to work and I put on the radio, there's like 3 stations that still exist that existed when I was a child. The rest of them they're just all different.
Oh, I've got a bunch in New York.
Yeah, they like, again, this is all going to be to half the audience, more than half. They're going to be like, what the hell are these guys talking about? But like, I was a rock kid.
We can talk about whatever we want.
I am a rock kid. So like, I grew up in around these areas. There was WAAF, there was WZLX, there was WBCN. There was like these 4 or 5 core radio stations that if I wanted to go listen to when I was younger, like grunge or like Offspring, Green Day in the middle 90s, that's where you went. When I wanted to listen to Slipknot and Limp Bizkit and all these heavier bands when I was a teen, that's where you went. They don't exist anymore. There's
that's a shame.
There's a pop
101.1 doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, there's a pop station, Kiss 108, that has always been around my whole life. It's still around. The main hip hop station, Jammin' 94.5, still around. Oldie, you like oldies? We had Oldies 103. Doesn't exist anymore. And I'm just like, okay, well, so now, like when I turn on I usually don't listen to the radio when I'm driving to work. I'll put on a podcast or my own music that I've been listening to for 25 years. But like, it's just like, huh? I don't know. I miss all these stations, like all these radio personalities, all these. They would be sponsors of all the big concerts. Ozfest was sponsored by WAAF when it came to my state. You know, now it's just like, it's just the way of the world. Look at us on TV. Everything's streaming now. There's different things instead of, you know, all the cable channels. Like those cable channels still exist, but like nobody's on cable anymore. Everyone's doing, you got to have this app. You got to do that app. It's the same kind of. It's just, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of radio stations. Like I have YouTube Music, so I'm just listening to YouTube.
Yeah, like I have YouTube TV now. That's my TV version of that, you know?
Right, yeah. So like the 106.7 Light FM, 103.5 KTU, you know, they still exist for me, thankfully. 102.7 is Kiss FM, I think.
So many of them have changed. Like 107.3 used to be WAAF. It used to be this hard rock. Like that's where you would go find the heavy stuff if you like the heavy stuff. And now it's Jesus music. It's a Christian channel now.
So and they changed the oldies station 101.1 to that originally.
Yeah.
Years ago. It's like all of a sudden it was something different.
Yeah, listen to whatever you want to listen to. But when I spent 30 of my 38 years on this planet going to 107.3 to hear my metal screamy stuff when I needed to have a good ride somewhere. And now I go on there and it's, you know, choir and, you know, kind of like poppy versions of songs that talk like, it's just like, it's like, I don't know. And now you go on Oldies 103 and now it's a pop channel and it's like, I don't know what's going on anymore, man.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention Power 105. That's the Breakfast Club.
Oh,
that's you know, that station. That's one of the major stations here in New York.
So I don't know. It's just been a complete difference of you could put the radio on now and it's just, man, you don't know where anything. I don't know where anything is on the radio. I know where the sports channels are because those haven't changed really in 20 years. Other than that, man, brutal. But anyway.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, was your allotted collision time talk. Let's get into Dynamite.
that was us. That was us doing that. So, Dynamite last night. Where did it take place from? Hold on. Was it in the?
I can tell you right now.
Winston-Salem, North Carolina, right?
Winston-Salem.
Yeah. It was in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And it was a pretty good show, Drew. It was a pretty good show.
I enjoyed the hell out of the show.
Yeah, it was a good one. Yeah, Scott, you're right. Yeah, now they have the old DJs from the rock stations on the sports stations. They don't know what the hell they're talking about, know nothing about sports. And I'm like, you're getting paid so much more money, and I know a million times more about sports than you do. You clown, get off my radio. But anyway, so great Dynamite last night, and this show started off with one of the better Dynamite matches you will see.
Oh boy.
And you know what, Drew? We started Firmly WWE on Tuesday, and we talked about a star-making performance for Bronson Reed in that segment that they did with Seth Rollins. Well, we've been talking about Kyle Fletcher before here. Yes, and Asian Joe says it. There were a lot of travel impacts from the hurricane on this show, so they did have to change some stuff up on the show, but it was a good show regardless. You want to talk about star-making? This match between MJF and Kyle Fletcher was not only fantastic, but it was a star-making performance from Kyle Fletcher. Now, we have talked about it here before in some of the times that he's gotten to show his stuff previous. He's like 24 or 25 years old, this guy. Yeah. Super young. And they have a main event future multi-time champion here in Kyle Fletcher. And he balled out last night, Drew. He balled out. He knew the moment. He knew, I got a one-on-one with the guy right here, MJF. I'm going to let everyone know that I'm in the same ballpark as this guy. This match was terrific.
It was so great.
So good. And Kyle Fletcher, even though obviously he gets the loss in the end and MJF wins, but Kyle Fletcher looked like an absolute main event star here, Drew. An absolute main event star, like he belonged in that ring with MJF. And yeah, I mean, I'll let you kind of dive in more about the match if you want, but I have not, like, this was as good as it gets. And Kyle Fletcher proved to everybody that he's somebody that this company needs to build on as well, moving in the future. I know they're doing the Will Ospreay thing, and I liked what we saw out of that, but this guy is a main event single star for them.
I don't know what Mark Davis's status is. We haven't heard really anything about if he's getting better, a timetable on his return. I don't know, but wow. Kyle Fletcher has taken the ball, and not only has he ran with it, he has scored many, if you want to talk about any sport, he's hit grand slam after grand slam. He's scored touchdown after touchdown. He's, scored as many 3 points as possible. Mm-hmm. Like he has taken being a singles guy, even though he's been in a group for a little while, the Don Callis family. He's taken being a singles guy and ran with it and just perfected it. He's perfected a singles run out of a tag team guy. It's so incredible to see just in the last 4 or 5 months how he has taken himself from, tag team to upper mid-card level. And you could say, that guy is a main eventer right now.
Yeah.
He 100%. Absolutely could main event a show. And I would be like, absolutely, he deserves it. He has gotten himself to the spot, and he deserves it 100%.
Absolutely. Some of the spots in this match, at the beginning of the match, MJF rolls out real quick, and he's basically saying, hey, you're going to collar and elbow tie up with me, man. And if you don't, I'm taking this belt and we're getting the hell out of here. We're not doing this. Like, we're having ourselves a real wrestling match. You're going to collar and elbow tie up with me. Gets back in the ring. Looks like he's going to do it. Pokes him in the eye.
Such a prick.
Little piece of shit that MJF is, but it's just,
listen,
it worked.
And speaking of MJF for a moment.
Yeah.
I'm not like 100% thrilled that he's a heel again, although he has been doing really well as a heel again.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't. So the whole month that he won the international championship,
the
and then
American
it became the American
championship,
and that whole deal, I hadn't been watching any wrestling because of personal reasons, but not because of the wrestling, because of other things outside of wrestling. And so I've really like kind of missed a bulk of the heel turn because he had only, I think, just turned heel within like, what was it, like the week before Forbidden Door? It's only been like a month.
The Daniel Garcia thing. It was after Forbidden Door, I thought. He was a good guy still at Forbidden Door. It was the Wednesday after, I thought, he turned on Garcia.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, he did the thing with Daniel Garcia.
So I really missed this entire new heel turn of his. So last night's Dynamite was the first Dynamite that I actually watched in full since Forbidden Door.
All right.
And or maybe it was the one after Forbidden Door with the last.
That's when the angle happened with him turning full on with Garcia. Yeah.
Right. So I've missed Dynamite since then because I remember we covered that. I think that was our last show.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I'm cool with it. I kind of wish we got a little bit more out of the babyface run, but yeah, he's turned himself into a real American.
Yeah, he's playing it up pretty well. Also, he spit in Kyle Fletcher's face at one point during this match, and that really kind of sent Fletcher to another level in this match for the last segment of it. It was really, really well done, I thought.
Wiping it and then just slapping him right in the face. It was great.
It was really, really good. At one point, he hit a Revolution Tombstone pile driver in MJF, which had a close 2.99 false finish, which and this was one of those matches that if Fletcher did win, he would have gotten a future championship opportunity at the American Championship, as MJF calls it. But a terrific opener, really, really cementing Kyle Fletcher as somebody to keep an eye on here.
You have been watching this whole month, right?
Yes. Collisions, not so much because of the travel.
Right.
But Dynamites, yes. I am. I am caught up. I'm good to go.
So now I need the clarification. This is now officially the American Championship, or is it just because MJF is holding it?
Yeah, I haven't gone on like the AEW website to see what they're calling it, like on the website or anything like that. The announcers, they talk crap about it. Like they'll say the American Championship, but like the announcers are very much like, yeah, MJF's calling it. You know what I mean? Like they'll lean in like, oh, MJF who's calling it the American. Like they refer to it still a little bit as the so it's definitely just an MJF forward thing, but it's being presented like when he went to CMLL. I'm pretty sure they announced it like they're announcing him as the American champion. It is the American belt. But you can tell the undertone of the announcers where they're just kind of like,
yeah, because that's why I was confused. I was like, okay, they're talking like it's not a championship that they're recognizing.
Exactly. I think the company, again, I haven't been on the web. I don't know, but like, at least from what I gather from the announcers and their tones about it, it's still the international championship, but MJF is calling it that. So they're just kind of
looking on the website now to see.
That's the vibe that I get. I don't know if they've officially changed it. I wouldn't be shocked if it's still the international.
It is called the American Championship.
Okay, well there you go. So maybe they are doing it in full, but it does feel like the announcers are still like, yeah, that's not what it's supposed to be. You know, that kind of thing.
I guess maybe because they have the Continental Championship.
I think that gives it an excuse for it to be,
because that could be international also.
Yeah, because Continental would be international to me as well. So, so MJF, he's on the verge of what it looks like taking an L here. But at one point when the ref is distracted, he that's a good call out, Joe. He was wearing the red, white, and blue gear last night, where it did really have that American hero Lex Express vibe. MJF was wearing that. So, and if, you're in the States, it is that time of year where the next couple months are going to be election heavy. So it is going to be a very it's kind of fitting that he would pick this time. Oh, our friend Josh Robinson popping in the chat
Josh.
With his hello, Josh. We love you, buddy. It is, it's the right time for him to be leaning into the American gimmick because obviously an election cycle is going to be a lot of talk about stuff like that. I'm guessing
he's going to be holding that title for a little while.
I would think. So towards the end of this match, the ref gets distracted. MJF hits Fletcher with a low blow. He uppercuts him in the junk, and then he hits his brain buster, and he gets a victory. And then we see MJF after the match just start viciously. So he grabs the belt and he hits the referee. Poor Paul Turner gets the belt right over the
what
face
the hell
out
was
of
that
nowhere.
About?
Out of nowhere.
That was just like completely out of nowhere.
Him over the face with it. And then he
blasts, I was like,
and then he has,
what did the referee do to deserve that?
Unbelievable. And then he has the ring and he punches Fletcher in the head with the ring. Fletcher is busted open. We see Will Ospreay, who we saw a couple times throughout the match, in the back. He's trying to get out of the locker room. He can't at first. We then find that it was barricaded, one would assume by MJF. It was barricaded. But
I don't think it was MJF.
No, you don't. You think it was somebody else.
I think it was Powerhouse Hobbs.
You think he's that close to coming back already?
I just saw him tweet yesterday about coming back soon.
Is he really? And now he blew out his knee. I thought it would be longer than that.
I feel like
keep hitting that like. You see Zach and Spencer in the chat, y'all. Keep hitting that like button. Keep hitting that like button. Share it out.
He's probably not going to be coming back like next week, but I think at All In he might return there, and that might be where they do the official split of that family.
Scott saying it was Don Callis. It
could have been Don Callis also.
Commentary for this match as well. Don Callis was there because obviously Fletcher is part of the Don Callis family.
Right. That's why I was thinking it couldn't have been him because he was out on commentary.
Yeah.
And the only other person in the family. It could have been Takeshita.
Maybe.
It was somebody in the family. That's
another piece that we didn't mention in the match at one point, how the low blow happens. The ref is getting distracted by Don Callis, and Don Callis throws the screwdriver in the ring to Kyle Fletcher, saying, hey, use this on MJF to win. Kyle Fletcher grabs it. The crowd is kind of like, use it, but don't use it. Kyle Fletcher ends up being a good guy and decides not to use it. He throws it out of the ring, and when he turns around right into the uppercut and the junk by MJF, and that's how we got. Because after this match, like I said, MJF hits the ref with the belt. He hits he hits Fletcher with the loaded thing. He's beating the crap out of Fletcher. Then Will Ospreay finally gets freed from the room. He comes out. MJF scrams. He books it. And then Kyle Fletcher's a bloody mess. Ospreay's out there. And Don Callis is yelling at Kyle Fletcher that he should have used the screwdriver. And he did not use the screwdriver. And that's kind of...
he was yelling at Will Ospreay saying, where
were you?
Where were you?
Where were you? And I think that's where, if people think it's Don Callis, I think that's where they might be smart, because it looks like Don Callis obviously knows that Kyle Fletcher cares about Will Ospreay. There's obviously a history there, but it was very much against the Callis family and the way they do things for Kyle Fletcher to accept this match. And when he did accept this match, he told Don, he's like, hey, I know it's not our business. We Callis family people don't go in other people's business, but I got to do this. So would it make sense for Don Callis to make it look like Will Ospreay wasn't coming out to help Kyle Fletcher, to try to convince Fletcher, stay away from this guy. I don't need this going where it might be going.
Him or Takeshita, or it was somebody in the family.
Because I think Callis, for the betterment of the Callis family, I think Callis does not want Fletcher to be swayed away by Ospreay or have their relationship cost him Kyle Fletcher, because he knows that Kyle Fletcher and the Callis family is a good thing, because he's a stud. I need him in my family. So I think there are layers to that they can do.
Or because Hobbs is coming back soon, Don is like, you know what? This guy, well, we all know what happens when you don't listen to Don Callis.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if you even win your match. He will be mad at you because you didn't listen to him.
Correct.
So I don't know if you saw what they posted on Twitter after the show.
With Ospreay and Fletcher?
Ospreay, Fletcher, and Don Callis.
I did not see it, but I did see they released a backstage thing.
It's a video of Kyle getting looked at by a doctor, and Will Ospreay is just standing there, and he's like, I'm sorry, I couldn't get to you. I couldn't get to you. And Kyle turns to him, and he's like, what are you doing? Why aren't you hitting the Tiger Driver anymore? And Will is like, you see what I did to my hero, Bryan Danielson, somebody that I looked up to. And, he's basically just saying, like, who cares anymore? Bryan Danielson's okay. He's going for a title, in the main event.
He's going for the world title here. Yeah.
And then this is the most beautiful thing that they did with this thing. So Kyle is sitting on like a chair or something, and Will is to his left. So Kyle says, and he does it exactly this way. Kyle says, if there's one person on this earth that deserves to be hit with that move, isn't it him? And he's pointing in to the left.
Oh, Callis.
All of a sudden, Don Callis walks into frame from that place that he's pointing. And it's like, oh my God, they did that on purpose. They had to have done that on purpose, because he's not talking. When he says him, he's not talking about Don Callis. He's talking about MJF.
Yeah.
But he's pointing to the left when he says, if anyone deserves to be hit by that move, isn't it him? And he points that way. And then all of a sudden, Don Callis comes from that same direction. I think Don Callis is getting hit with that move.
I mean, that'd be good. That'd be good. I wouldn't be against it.
That's gonna rule.
Yeah.
So there's definitely, and then when Don Callis comes into frame, he's like, he taps Will on the shoulder, and he's like, hey, family business right now, all right? Just like dismiss him completely. And he ends up walking away, and then Don sits next to Kyle, and he's like, you're right, like really being like that fatherly figure.
Father figure, yeah.
Continuing to push that divide between the two of them. It was honest. I wish it was on TV, because it was masterful.
I feel like they do a lot of good stuff with those. I've seen Bryan Danielson have some of the best promos he's ever cut, and just those. The Matt Menard one that got famous. You want to do, you want to make big boy money, you got to do big boy shit. That was just an online only. They really, and they do a good job about the ones that hit, that they'll show them on TV, like the next time they're on TV and stuff. But I would like to see them have those type of promos on TV more often, because they really do some of their best stuff from a storytelling aspect in those online only, social media only interviews. So, but all right, we move forward. We then had Mariah May going one-on-one with Viva Van. I did not know much about Viva Van. They said she wrestles out of California, Southern California. They got a 2-segment match here. I thought this was going to be kind of a squash.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be more of a squash, but they got a decently sized 2-segment match here. It was made to have Mariah May look very strong, but they let Viva Van get in a little bit of offense here. But Mariah really did dominate this match. And she was pulling out a lot of the stops. She did the hip attack that we've known Toni Storm to do. She won the match with the Storm Zero. So she was definitely leaning into the Toni Storm arsenal of moves still. And then there was another post-match thing here as well. So after Mariah gets the victory, she was given a large wrapped, it looked like a picture or poster board of sorts, and she unwraps it, and it's a poster of Toni Storm kind of cradling, holding Mariah May close. And there was something written on the back of this that Mariah May didn't see at first, but the fans and then eventually all of us at home could see before Mariah did. And it simply said, "Die, Mariah, die." And just kind of right as Mariah sees it and goes, "What?" Toni Storm attacks. She's in the ring. She starts attacking Mariah again. Mariah kind of fights back with a big knee to the stomach. And then she comes over with the shoe where it looks like she's going to try to attack Toni Storm with the shoe again, but Toni yanks it out of her hand, and then referees and security all get in there and they separate them and pull them apart. So another week where we see Toni trying to get to Mariah. They've been doing this for a few weeks now. Toni is really, as you would imagine, after what Mariah did to her, Toni is really out for blood. A couple weeks ago, she asked her, "Are you willing to die? Are you willing to die for this? Because I am." And then we see the Mariah die on the photo last night. Toni is she wants to kill this woman, as you can imagine. Another good one, ramping it up. I don't mind them brawling every week until all in, but I thought this was well done because you got a little taste of it, but it really wasn't a lot because the refs and security. No, it wasn't.
They did their little backstage thing
and
the show.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that too because this wasn't the last we saw of these two fighting. But I thought, it was a good piece of business after they're really ramping up. This story between Mariah and Toni has arguably been the best thing on AEW television this calendar year. And we're getting it 17 days away. We're finally getting one-on-one for the title with these two. And I'm expecting it to be probably one of, if not the match of the night at All In. It should be really, really, really good.
Sure. And I'm excited for that.
Yeah. And as somebody who hasn't, how did you feel? Because I know you said you've been kind of not watching regularly because of personal things. How did last night feel, as long as the Toni Mariah thing goes? Obviously, we didn't get a ton of, it was a quick little thing, but still moving along,
It was, I'm loving the little change of personality in Toni because she's been like that starlet, coming out in the black and white and everything. And you just see her in the ring in this all black clothing, just attacking and everything, and didn't get any of that, pomp and circumstance that we're used to, or that I've been used to. I really like that a lot. I like that little change in her character because now it's showing she means business and she's very serious right now.
Yeah, it was really good. We then cut to Jack Perry, who's watching Blood and Guts. And there's a voiceover saying, like, he's kind of talking over it, and he says that everything in his life has a price. The real question is, how much are you willing to pay? And then it cuts to a Taco Bell ad right in the middle of it.
Yeah, very random.
So apparently you're willing to pay $7 for the new Taco Bell box that they're promoting, which you get a lot of stuff in there. It's not too bad. So I don't know what the hell was going on there, but a Taco Bell ad cut right in the middle of it, and then all of a sudden it just switches back to Jack Perry, and it shows him smashing a TV, and it says there's a scapegoat thing popping up on the television. So obviously it would have been nice to see this whole thing in its original form, but hey, I ain't gonna knock Taco Bell. Taco Bell has been there for me in times of need. So I am not gonna knock Taco Bell here, but I felt like Jack Perry was doing a promo ad for Taco Bell. That's what it felt like. But yeah, so we saw that. Then they go to commercial, which I assume the Taco Bell commercial was supposed to be then. Then we come back from commercial and we have Darby Allin, and he cuts a promo about Jack Perry. And Asian Joe says he should have been promoting Jack in the Box. Yeah, maybe that might have made more sense. No, but then we see Darby Allin cutting a promo about Jack Perry, and he says he lit him on fire, blood and guts, all that stuff. He said that he didn't do that to make an excuse for Jack Perry to not show up at All In. He said, you know what? There's one thing. He goes, you might not want to show up tonight. You might not want to show up, next week, but you have to show up at All In because your title's on the line and you have to show up and you're going to get what's coming to you. And I've already shown you where I'm willing to take this if I need to, and you got to show up. You can't not show up at All In like you're not showing up on Collision or not showing up tonight. You can't. And so there was a little premium, because they're obviously one-on-one for the TNT title at All In. So a couple little promos back and forth with those two guys. We then get one-on-one match. We get Brian Keith going one-on-one with Katsuyori Shibata. Chris Jericho, the Learning Tree, and the Big Red are at commentary. A little thing that they did before this is the announcers announced that security came and took Taz away from the announce table because Jericho did not want Taz at the table because of Hook and his association obviously being Hook's dad. He was like, I didn't want him here. I don't want anything to do with Hook, so I wanted to be safe and secure. So they had Taz removed from the announcing table so Jericho and Big Bill could take his spot. I thought the match with Brian Keith and Shibata was pretty good. I'm glad Brian Keith got, a one-on-one match. They've been playing off his injury for a while, so it was good to see him in the ring. My only thing was the way they did it. Why wouldn't you have Brian Keith come out with Jericho and Big Bill? They had him do like separate entrances. Again, small thing. But I feel like, wouldn't it have done Brian Keith better if he just came out with the group and then he went down to the ring and they went, instead of making it feel like he's completely separate to what the hell is going on?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
It was a small thing. It doesn't really matter in the scheme of it. But like, to me, Brian Keith, you're still trying to get Brian Keith over in the group. Like, he's part of the group to get him to a bigger.
I like his Tron. Just
I did too.
Just the Bad Apple.
Yes, I did like
that apple.
And I do like I do like the nickname,
the
Bad Apple on the Learning Tree. I like what they're doing. Like, the nickname's good. It fits the Learning Tree, the Bad Apple. I'm all about that. And again, a super small thing. It's a nitpicky thing. But I was like, you gave him his whole separate entrance, and then the group he's a part of came out with the two of them together. I'm like, why wouldn't you just have all three of them come out? And then those two go that way, and Brian Keith kind of gets the nod of approval, and then just go. I don't know. It felt a little weird to me.
I guess it could potentially be that Brian Keith got new music and they wanted to debut.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know if they've been playing that music for him. I did like the presentation of him
I did too.
Just walking out, but then Chris Jericho hit, and I was like, oh. They could have all just come out together.
And this match went for a little bit. This match was a 2-segment match as well. Brian Keith, I thought, looked good. Hitting some uppercuts, doing some good things in the ring. But this match ended with Shibata taking control, and he actually wins by submission with the cross armbar on the injured arm of Brian Keith. They were playing that up a little bit. And then post-match, as this is kind of going down, you hear Jericho and Big Bill leave the announce table area, and they go down there, and they start beating up Shibata. It's 3-on-1, and then we hear the music. Hook has returned. He runs down to the ring. He clears the ring, and it's just him and Jericho one-on-one, and he starts lighting up Jericho with forearms and elbows. And then Jericho bails, and we see the Learning Tree regrouping up the ramp while yelling at Hook. And that's how this segment ends. So it looks like Hook and Jericho, we are continuing this. It's been going on since about March, I think. It's been a while. But it looks like we're heading to All In, and then hopefully I would think that would be the end of Hook and Jericho and the Learning Tree, and then they can kind of go on to other things. But it looks like we're going to get that rematch at All In.
Not that I'm not totally honest, but I just want to say, listen, I've started out 50-50 on the Learning Tree thing and Chris Jericho, and then started really liking it, and then I wasn't watching for almost a full month. So coming back to it last night, I didn't miss it. I'm gonna be honest with you. It was I wasn't really feeling the learning tree aspect of this.
Yeah,
it was like he mentioned Dave Meltzer on commentary.
Yeah,
like why are we doing this? No disrespect to Dave Meltzer, but just like we don't have to do this. Can we just not? Couldn't we just have him around the ring and not on comment? Like, listen, when I was watching Rampage regularly and he was doing commentary regularly on that show, I was like, okay, I don't need this.
Yeah.
So I didn't miss that at all. The Brian Keith aspect of it, I'm glad. I had seen something, I think yesterday or the day before. I think it was an interview that Brian Keith did, where he had said that he didn't know that he was going to be in the learning tree. There were actually discussions about him either potentially joining House of Black and another group. I don't remember the other group.
Yeah.
It was deciding on the learning tree.
Yes, I saw that. It was House of Black, and it was oh my god, who's the other group they were thinking about? Yeah, but they before they decided that he was going to be a part of this, they were thinking about that. Would have been dope to see him in the House of Black. That would have been a little different thing, but he would have fit in with the cowboy gimmick, like the dark cowboy gimmick he has. That would have fit in pretty dope. They could have made that really. But they were thinking about that, or was it? I think it was the Shane Taylor Promotions. I think that was the other group they were thinking about.
Oh yeah,
I think it was Shane Taylor Promotions. He said, or the House of Black. I think he would fit wonderful in both those groups. I would have liked to see how they would have incorporated him in the House of Black if they did that. I think that would have been. It would have been different. It would have been different, and I think could have been. But either way, I do think he's getting a good amount of shot. Like I do think.
Yes, I was just going to say.
Yeah.
It's I as much as the learning tree has been hit and miss, not hit or miss, hit and miss, because it depends on my mood of the week. I think that it was beneficial for him, whereas a lot of Chris Jericho stablemates in the past probably didn't benefit from being in a stable with him.
Yep.
I think that Brian Keith has benefited.
100%. 100%.
Has gotten more, for lack of a better term, TV time. And he has been able to, I think, showcase this different side of him that works positively in his favor. And I don't know, with the amount of people in House of Black and the amount of people in Shane Taylor Promotion, I don't know if it would have been the same thing.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
He's showing off like this viciousness that we've never seen. He's showing off this comedy that we've never seen. Like, you better respect Chris Jericho. Yeah. Like, that's his whole thing is based off of him being mad that people aren't respecting Chris Jericho. And it's funny. But it shows it's not funny in a goofy way. It's funny in a what's the word I'm looking for? It's showing that he can hit all the marks in wrestling, whatever gimmick that he's given, and he runs with it, and it works in his favor. It's like the Rusev Day thing. That type of thing. Rusev Day was given to Rusev, and then it got, it was a huge hit, and it's got that same type of thing. So I think that's the type of person that you want on your roster. You want somebody who can acclimate to anything that's given to them and knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
So
100%.
I think even though it would have been cool to see him at House of Black, it would have been cool to see him in Shane Taylor Promotions. He got put in this group, and he's shining.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And we have Asian Joe again saying, I just want Hook to win the FTW title back and retire it. so he can move on from Jericho and move on from only being the FTW
That would be
champion.
nice.
Yeah. That would be nice. That would be nice.
Although there's also the speculation of we don't know what his plans are.
Exactly.
So.
And I think they don't know, and we didn't even talk about it. Maybe we'll talk about it at the end, but like the reason why they wrote Daniel Garcia off the way that they did with MJF was not only because, hey, now we can, at the very least, we have an MJF Daniel Garcia storyline we can do when he comes back. But part of the reason is they don't know what Daniel Garcia is going to do, because there's rumors that he might be thinking about going to the other company. Same thing with Hook. That's part of the reason why Hook was off, because they might know now, but we as a general public of wrestling fans don't know what Hook is doing yet,
Ricky Starks
Ricky Starks and Daniel Garcia. The rumors are out all this week that they lost the Lucha Bros. The Lucha Bros are not going to re-sign with AEW, and the rumors are that they are going to potentially head into WWE.
That's crazy. Honestly.
Nuts. I would have never thought.
I thought that they were going to be AEW lifers.
Yeah, that is nuts. But what else? They've been there since day one. They're 5 years. They've been the AEW tag team champions. They've been the AEW. They've been in the trio stuff. Like, what else? And don't get me wrong, singly, I think Ray Phoenix, Penta's great too. But I think Ray Phoenix, I look at as like, that's a guy that could be, world champion down the line as well.
And he even had a singles title run.
He did. Too. And, injuries and stuff like that got in the way. He had a little bit of unluck, not lucky there. But what else do they have to accomplish in AEW? You know what I mean? Like, they've done almost everything they can as a tag team in AEW. And the way WWE's going right now, if that's the route they're going, dude, they're going to go there. And when you think about it, and this is an AEW show, but when you think about WWE, like, they're on the precipice now of, they have Motor City Machine Guns and the Lucha Bros just coming in to their tag team division at some point. They have these two all-time great tag teams just coming in. So, like, it's going to be a big benefit for WWE. 100%. And whether it's NXT at first or right on the main roster, I don't know. I think both those teams are good enough to go right to the main roster, but we see how WWE does things. But either way they do it, you're getting two ready-made, ready to go, can put them in any type of feud with any level of tag team. And they're probably going to be two of the best tag teams on the roster immediately stepping into WWE.
Yeah, and listen, we here, our new tagline, we firmly love wrestling.
Yeah, it's all of it. We talk about both now, so we can talk
about both.
Yeah.
But, and I'm telling you, we do, and I have to disagree with Scott. I didn't think AEW wasn't using them right. I actually thought that they were being treated pretty damn well in AEW.
And look at, and a lot of it's bad luck, injuries. Ray Phoenix was out for a long time. He broke his arm, and then he came back and got hurt again. Penta's been hurt. They did single stuff with Penta while Ray was out. They did
the death triangle thing, but
they did
Pac
the death
has
triangle
been
thing with
injured,
Pac,
and Pac has not been able to come back.
Visa issues and injuries, and there's been a lot of, when you look at the history of AEW, Lucha Bros are one of, it's them and the Young Bucks for me that are the top two tag teams, and it's only a 5-year history. Don't get me wrong, but it's them and the Young Bucks that have been the top two teams in AEW since the inception. Yeah, there's others, FTR as well. But those, they're multi-time tag team champions. You can make an argument that cage match that they had, or was it 2 out of 3 fall? I don't know. But the cage match that they had with the Bucks, I want to say it was at an All Out, maybe. I forget which pay-per-view was at. But that, you can make an argument that tag match is the best tag match in the history of the company still. It's just, I thought they would treat it right. They just got a lot of unluckiness. And again, if you're them, you want to grow. You want to, it is what it is. But so we don't know where some of the, and this is good. It's good that there are options. It's good, like a team like the Lucha Bros can go, hey, why don't we go test the waters out over here? Or, whether Daniel Garcia ends up, I would prefer him to stay in AEW. I think he's better fit for AEW personally. But it's good that somebody like Daniel Garcia has an option where he goes, oh, I'm a free agent. My contract's coming up. I'm not definitely leaving, but I'm going to go listen to what they have to say. Same thing with WWE people. We saw Ricochet. Same thing. Ricochet had been in WWE, and he's like, you know what? I think I could be doing a little bit more. I'm going to leave. And all rumors are saying that he's with AEW. Mercedes Moné, that happened with her. Jade Cargill went the other way. Andrade, he said, I'm going to go to AEW, see if the grass is greener. It wasn't. Didn't work out for him as much. So guess what? Now he's back over. And, these options are good because 5 years ago, these options didn't exist. We got Lawrence. He has aligned himself with Firmly AEW in the war of Firmly. Love wrestling. Lawrence has aligned himself. But anyway, we got a little sidetrack there, but let's keep moving on for this Dynamite.
And we, of course,
yeah.
We wouldn't be remiss to mention the biggest jump from AEW to WWE. Cody,
the guy who started, the guy that was essential in starting AEW is now the world champion over on WWE, arguably the most over guy in the company. I know Roman just came back, but still, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. And
it works for people.
Yeah. Bryan Danielson, Adam Cole. Look at it both ways. It's both ways. Adam Copeland. I know some of those guys are injured, particularly the Adams. Must be an unlucky first name or something. But they're injured, but like the run that Adam Copeland was having in AEW was easily my most favorite thing he's done since he's come back to wrestling before he got hurt. Easily. That dude was kicking ass. And he was having matches I never thought I would see him have. He was doing moves that I never thought I'd see him do. It's good that there's options. It's good.
Unfortunately, one of them caused him to be injured right now. But
I know.
But yeah.
So we come back.
I'm just saying that we're not subscribed to tribalism here.
No, we don't do that here.
We know Lawrence is joking. If for anybody that may think that he's not joking, he is.
That's a little different to me. That's a little different to me, Joe. All right. Just to me, because Johnny Damon can still rot in hell. All right, you understand? Johnny Damon, thank you for everything you did as the bearded caveman. Once you put on those pinstripes, you're dead to me, Johnny Damon. You come back to Fenway, I'm booing your ass. Anyway, okay, continue.
We love wrestling, and we do not. And I say this because I'm going to say something that might seem tribalistic, but I'm not. I don't mean it this way. I just pray that when the Lucha Bros get to WWE, they don't get saddled with the Legado del Fantasma gimmick. Keep them separate from
that. Yes.
Let them cook.
Yes.
That
is a different argument for a different
time,
but that seems to happen quite often. So let's hope. Let's hope not. We come back from commercial. Renee Paquette. Actually, no. Before we go to commercial, I'm sorry. Renee Paquette is backstage interviewing Orange Cassidy. And because of the travel woes that we had, that Asian Joe had mentioned in the chat at the beginning of the show, his original tag team, which was the Conglomeration, I believe, was going to be his original. No, who was his original tag team going to be? It was going to be Orange Cassidy, and
I think it was.
Yes, he has been back at Fenway several times. I have not been in attendance, Scott, but if he was, and I was there, his ass is getting booed.
Damon wouldn't.
And anybody that cheers Johnny Damon, you're not a real fan. You're not a real fan. That guy left and went to the Yankees. Screw him. Anyway.
My apologies for mentioning a different Damon from Boston.
Okay. No, I love Asian Joe, but blame Asian Joe. He's the one that brought up the sport. That's different. It's different. Johnny Damon, if he would have went to the Cleveland Guardians, whoop-de-doo. You played in the Red Sox. You know the rivalry. You go to the Yankees, dead to me. You're dead to me. Anyway. So Orange Cassidy basically says, hey, my team ain't here because of the travel woes, but I'm still planning on fighting. He goes, I found a couple of local boys. That's how he phrased it. I found a couple local boys that are going to come help me out. And in the
moment, they local to North Carolina?
Yeah, right. They live down there. That's yeah. I'm pretty sure that's where they live. Because Edge has mentioned it too, as well, that they all live in the same area and they're all in the Carolinas.
For some reason, I thought they were local to like Georgia or Atlanta. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure North Carolina is where at least Dax lives, at least. But he said, yeah, I got a couple local boys. They're going to come help me. Yeah. And then Paquette says, let me know if you need anything. Yeah. And Orange Cassidy goes, you want to wrestle for me? And
I love their dynamic.
And yeah, I love it. And he goes, you want to wrestle for me? And Renee's like, no. And he's like, all right, well, that was it. So then we go to commercial. We come back from commercial, and Renee is out back interviewing Hangman Adam Page. And Hangman says, there's a guy here that I want to take everything from and leave him with only the ashes of his pride, he says. But a dozen other, what's he call them? Yeah, a dozen other dumbasses keep getting in my way. And he goes, so justice delayed is justice denied. He says, but eventually he will have what he wants. Good little thing with Hangman. I am loving this Hangman character since he's been back. I am loving it. Really, really good.
And
we
found out.
Yeah, we'll talk at the end too.
We can talk at the end about that stuff. But yeah, he's this little tweak to him is chef's kiss.
Yeah, it's been really good. Then we get what I thought was, it was a sit-down interview with JR, with Swerve. First and foremost, we're all wrestling fans here. JR has been a big part of our lives for a long time. He looked to be in a little bit of rough shape. He's gone through some health stuff here, some serious health stuff. So we wish the best for him, because you could tell even during the interview that he was in a little bit of rough shape doing this interview. But I do think that this is the best way to utilize JR.
Yes, absolutely.
Big time, is these type of things. It's kind of been the arc of his career. Like, he's always been at the table, but the big wrestlers or the guys that had the spotlight, they always got the sit downs with JR. Mankind and Mick Foley early in the day. Kane, when he set him on fire and all that stuff. It feels like the big time angles or the big time things they want to do throughout his career in wrestling. JR, you get the one man sit down with JR, you're somewhere. And I feel like that's a way, especially if he's still dealing with health things and he's getting up there in age. We all know this. I thought this was a really good way to use JR, even though he was still clearly recovering and kind of going through some stuff. I thought it was really good. And I thought Swerve looked like $1 million in this interview, man. I thought it was excellent, Drew. I'll let you kind of talk on it first, but I thought this was excellent.
I want to talk about him at the end.
Okay. So, JR asks him how motivated he is. Strickland says he's beyond motivated, and going from a tag match last year at All In to the main event means the world to him. He says if the roles were reversed, would anyone give a damn about him being on his way out? They shouldn't. He doesn't care about Danielson being on it. Oh, yeah. So he was asked, like, hey, this could be Danielson's last match. How do you feel about that? Blah, blah, blah. And that's when Swerve is like, if the roles were reversed, would anyone give a damn about me? If this was my last match or I was going somewhere? No, I don't give a damn. We would. But he phrases it that way. And then he says he doesn't care about Danielson being a parent. He doesn't care. He's not nervous about Danielson. JR's like, you're not nervous about Danielson? He goes, well, what if his body gives out? We've seen his body just fall apart here. Like, he goes, I'm not concerned. I'm here to win. I'm here to make my mark and win. He says everybody always talks about what they're going to do to inflict pain on someone else. And what do you do when your body doesn't work? He says, not only can I beat Bryan Danielson, but I will beat Bryan Danielson, and then his legacy will belong to Swerve. There was obviously more in that sit down. It was a lengthy sit down, but those were kind of the main notes that I got. So I'll have you kind of talk about it and add in anything I might have missed or anything like that. But I thought this was I thought this made Swerve. I mean, Swerve looks like $1 million every time we see him, but I thought this was really, really good for Swerve. I thought this was really good.
Adding to what you just said, I think that he is definitely, he's kind of like weak. You know what the beautiful thing is about him? I was going to say this at the end, but I'll just say it now. What the hell? Because it fits. He is really good at tweener. He's really like that's his bread and butter.
Yes.
Is being a tweener, and he really takes whatever situation he is, whether he's facing a heel, whether he's facing a babyface, and still makes you go, yeah, I still want this guy to win.
Mm-hmm.
He's got that presence, that aura, everything about him, where he just is able to still make you root for him.
Yeah. 100%.
And now I have to, unfortunately, while I've rooted for him every single time before this, I'm not rooting for him this time, only because Bryan Danielson is on the other side. So, and I really don't want Bryan Danielson to retire yet.
Well, all right. Well, we can talk about this because I think. Well, no. Let's talk about it after the main event.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Because I disagree with you when it comes to that. I love Bryan Danielson, but this feels like a charity case to me. Him getting this belt. It feels like Tony's like, "Hey, you're retiring. We're giving you this belt." That's what it feels like because he doesn't want to be in this spot. He's been very open about him. Obviously, he's earned it. He's one of the best wrestlers of all time, but I feel like it should be Hangman. It should not be him in this spot. The only reason he's in this spot is because he's retiring soon and Tony wants to give him the belt. And it makes me feel uneasy because I think we're going to end a title reign that shouldn't be ended yet. And again, this is not an anti Bryan Danielson thing because I love
Bryan
I get
Danielson.
It. But
this is the way that I see it.
End a title reign before it should end to give a guy a belt that he doesn't even want to have. And that bothers me.
Listen.
That bothers me.
A month, I think it was right before Forbidden Door, whenever it was. I came on this show and I told Tony Khan that I didn't give a shit what Bryan Danielson thought. He has to have a title.
But he doesn't.
I understand. And I watched, I don't remember what show he was on. I just watched yesterday, Bryan Danielson in a sit-down interview with a podcast. And the way that he talks about wanting to put over a new talent from Washington, because that was very important to him. He was talking about it in the interview. I think he wins.
Yeah, and then Swerve wins it back at Wrestle Dream in Washington, right?
In Washington.
In the last match of Danielson.
That will be his retirement.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's what they're going to do too, and he'll put Swerve back over. I just feel like, I don't know. To me, I look at it and I'm like, okay, is Bryan Danielson deserving of a world heavyweight title? Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's Bryan Danielson. He's the greatest North American wrestler of all time. I'm not denying any of these facts. I just look at it and I go, if he wasn't retiring, he wouldn't be getting the belt. He just wouldn't be right now. On the landscape of what we're seeing, he would not be getting the belt if he wasn't retiring. And you're gonna end a title reign for a month for no logistical reason, just to give a guy a belt. And I don't think Danielson wants it to go that way. He's going to be a company guy because he's a company guy and he's going to win the belt and he knows it. But I don't think it's what Danielson
Maybe
wants.
He doesn't.
Maybe. I don't know. I just look at it.
I'll be heartbroken.
And Scott's right. Tony has wanted to give him a belt for a while now. That is true. But as far as what we know, Danielson has been pretty adamant that, no, I don't want the belt. And I think we're at a point now where Tony is basically like, listen, you can say no to me all you want. We know you're done here soon. You're getting the effing belt. And you're going to shut up and you're going to do it. Obviously, he's not talking to him like that, but that's the emphasis that Tony probably has. And Danielson is probably like, all right, man. All right, boss. Whatever. I'll do it, I guess. But like,
just once. I understand that it should, honestly, I think it should have been when he faced John Moxley for it. He should have won the title that night. I thought it was going to happen.
I think Danielson should have been AEW champion up to this point. Like, it should have already happened. How you doing, Andy? Thanks for hopping in. Thanks for the chat, my friend. We're talking a little AEW Dynamite here. I think that Danielson should have already been AEW World Heavyweight Champion. That's why right now, when we're at the finish line, when we've already done all this stuff to establish Swerve as the dude, and we have the Hangman Swerve thing that really should be deserving of the All-In main event, if I'm being honest. It's the best story they've told in a while. You have all this stuff, and now we're just kind of, we got to get Danielson his belt before he leaves. We got to do this. And it's like, okay, well, you should have done it when it made more sense to do it a fucking year ago. Now you're having somebody like me who loves both these men. Now I have to have this opinion about Bryan Danielson that I really don't want him to win because I think it's screwing shit up just to get a belt on a guy who really doesn't even want it. And that's where I feel uneasy about it. And again, nitpicking. At the end of the day, Swerve loses it for a month. If he wins it back at Wrestle Dream, you can just continue along with what you were going to do with Swerve. But it's still like you could have just avoided this whole thing if you just would have gave it to Danielson, like you said, against whoever, Danielson it would have made more sense then. And now it's like, okay, well, we got to do it now. He's leaving in 2 months. We got to give him the belt. And let's take it away from our champion, who we've done a really good job of making him the guy. And only in his like third or fourth title defense, he's going to fucking lose it now. And I get it. He's losing it to Danielson. It's not like he's losing it to a bum. But like, I don't know. It makes me feel a smidge.
Sometimes, listen, I'm going to tell you something. Sometimes while you're talking, my mind starts going, and I just thought of something incredible. Danielson wins at All In, but because he feels like he was screwed over, Hangman says he deserved the shot instead of the previous champion Swerve. What if they do a three-way?
Okay, because you have to. We have All Out 2 weeks after All In, so I know we're talking about Wrestle Dream in Washington as probably Danielson's last full-time match in AEW, but there is All Out, which before All In existed was the WrestleMania of AEW. So there is All Out that is happening literally 2 weeks after All In. So if we're getting to Danielson at Wrestle Dream being the last match, is Danielson the champion by the time what if they do something like that where Hangman gets involved and maybe he's part of the reason why Danielson even wins at All In? Because Hangman can't, he can't get over Swerve and all that. And then it becomes, like you said, maybe it's a triple threat at All Out and Hangman wins the belt. And then you go into Washington with Swerve chasing Hangman for the belt. And then Danielson maybe has his last match somewhere else. Or Danielson wins it at All In. He takes it into Wrestle Dream. So whoever he fights at All Out, he wins. Takes it into Wrestle Dream. And maybe that's where they have the triple threat. Or maybe that's when Swerve wins it back. And then as we go to Revolution or whatever the next pay-per-view is going to be after that, we get back to Swerve and him. I don't know.
I could see maybe they do All In, he wins the belt. At All Out, Hangman and Swerve fight for who's going to face him.
The number one contender.
Because there's going to be so much on All In.
Yeah.
That maybe that's not the right place for, as much as it's like, the way that it was looking originally, it was like, it's definitely going to be Swerve and Hangman at All In.
Yeah, for sure.
And then it ended up not.
Yeah.
Now it looks like it's going to be Hangman and Jeff Jarrett at All In.
Which we'll talk about. And then
so I feel like, they have the casino.
Yeah, they announced that the casino gauntlet will be happening, which will be awesome. That's a great match for them.
That could be a debut or two, maybe, in that match. Yeah. That's a huge moment. Probably Ricochet.
Ricochet would most definitely be lined up for that.
Then the Britt Baker and Mercedes Moné match. And then, there's so many matches on this card that are going to be major. That's like, you know what? Maybe All Out gets based around Hangman and Swerve.
Well, All In should be used as a vehicle to get us to All Out. So All In should be telling story as much as these big matches are going to happen. All In should be telling these stories and setting up the matches for All Out 2 weeks later. Like we just saw, again, we're talking now that we covered WWE. I feel like it's more free for us to kind of talk about it. But like we just saw on SummerSlam, SummerSlam was a very heavily story PLE. Like, yes, the matches were pretty good, but there wasn't any standout 5-star matches. I mean, Rhea and Liv, I thought was excellent, but there were a lot of stories told where it was like, holy crap, we need to tune in now because they got to finish all, no pun intended. I need to see where these stories are going next. I need to see how these stories finish. I feel like All In should be that way, where we're getting these banger matches, but we're getting a lot of storyline involved in them because we have another pay-per-view literally 2 weeks later.
Right.
So I feel like All In should be a catalyst to, hey, let's finish some stuff, but let's keep the stories going because we do have a pay-per-view in 2 weeks that this bigger pay-per-view should kind of be the catalyst to get to what our card is going to be there. So we'll have to see how they do it because last year it was the week after. It was literally boom, boom. This year they gave us a week of a gap to kind of catch our breath, give them a little bit more time to tell some stories to get to All Out. All In should be the main thing that's telling the stories for you. It's going to be your biggest event of the year from here on out. Now this is your new, WrestleMania big event, 80,000 people. If you're going to keep All Out that close to it every year, All In should not only be the end of some stuff, but it should be continuing things so we get the culmination 2 weeks later at All Out. So, but yeah. All right. We then had a 6-man tag. It was Roderick Strong, Roosh, and Beast Mortos. Who that guy? Holy shit, man. Versus Orange Cassidy and the 2 local boys that he found, FTR. I thought that was good.
Who are local, I found out.
Who are they? Yes, they are. Really good 6-man. Back and forth. A lot of shit happening. The Beast first of all, Roosh was chopping the shit out of everybody. There were so many slaps in this match between FTR and Roosh and Beast. And I was watching, all I could hear was just, it was like every 2 seconds, just someone's getting, Roosh is amazing. Everybody in this match, really, when you think about it. And I will tell you, this Beast Mortos guy, man, this guy can do some wild shit in that ring. For a man of his size and stature, the flips and just the chaos that he brings in the match, he is something. He is something to watch.
Him and Hechicero, honestly, I'm like, wow. I'd never heard of either of them, and they both won me over very quickly.
Yeah. This match ends with FTR getting the pinfall when they hit the Shatter Machine on Roosh. And then afterwards, we saw the Acclaimed. And they were wearing all black, so I think they're turning the Acclaimed heel. It's the vibe I'm getting. Or maybe just in this feud because it's with FTR, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So they were wearing all black. They come out. They look pissed off. And they're starting to rap, but the mic isn't working. And so Dax grabs a mic and he goes, it looks like, with all due respect, I'm not the only one that doesn't want to hear you talking and hear you rapping. Apparently, everyone here and everyone behind the scenes in AEW doesn't want to hear you rapping either. And then Dax says, you know what? I'm not really in the mood for talking. Why don't you just get past security and let's go? And they go out and they start brawling a little bit. And it seems that we are going. So I'm thinking at All In, are we going to get the Acclaim versus FTR? Is that what we're doing here? When is the Acclaim getting their tag title match? Someone explain this to me. Didn't they win an eliminator match like 2.5 months ago?
Did
they beat the Young Bucks in an eliminator match. They never
gotten a title shot?
No. Unless I'm dumb and it was on a collision I missed. I am dumb. But unless it was like on a collision I missed. But they still haven't got their tag title match. Am I wrong?
Did they not get it at the last pay-per-view?
No. They did the fucking Anarchy in the Arena or whatever the hell they did.
Oh, that's right.
They have not gotten their title match from their Eliminator win, which literally was like 2 months ago. And now they're going Acclaim versus FTR. When are the Bucks have had the belt for like 200 days. They've defended it twice. And I get it. They're the evil EVPs. They're the shithead EVPs. I get that. So you can play that into their character if you want. But like, what are we doing? Maybe that's part of the reason why the Lucha Bros are like, we got to get the hell out of here. Maybe. Because your tag team titles aren't on the fucking TV show anymore. Your champions are, but they're busy doing fucking Blood and Guts and Anarchy in the Arena and AEW versus, Team Elite, which that story died the week after it fucking happened. Like, you attack Tony Khan, everyone's thinking it's going to be the greatest thing of all time. This story they're going to lean into. 3 weeks later, nobody gives a shit. Now we're further than that, but literally it took 2-3 weeks and nobody gave a shit anymore. The matches were good, but you had a lackluster Anarchy in the Arena. The match was good, but the build, nobody gave a shit. You had Blood and Guts. The match was great. The build, nobody gave a shit. What are we doing? And I don't even like the Acclaim. I like Bowens a lot. And I don't hate Caster as much as everybody else, but I'm kind of done with the Acclaim like everybody else. But when are they getting their title match? They won an eliminator match. Why are they involved with somebody else before they got their tag match? Just have the match, have them lose, and then you can get where you are right now anyway. Makes no sense. But anyway.
So are they come sure out, they didn't get the tag match?
I am as close to positive as I can be. That means nothing because I am a dope. But I am as close as I can be. They have not received their tag title match from their eliminator win. And if they did, then this whole rant means nothing. But I don't think they got it. I do not believe they have received it yet.
Yeah, because I thought that they had the match because that was when I said that Caster was going to turn heel.
No, I don't think that was for the belts. I don't believe they've had the match unless it was tucked away on a Battle of the Belts or something that I did not. And again, I have not watched Collision the last month or so because of traveling. But I am pretty certain that they have not received their tag title match. Because just check when the last time the Bucks defended them was. That's all you got to check. Because they haven't defended those belts in.
That's right.
Yeah, there you go. Scott saying they have not. They haven't. Pretty sure. It's crazy. But anyway. So that happened. So they all rushed the wall of security to brawl. Security tried to hold them back. Christopher Daniels was out there kind of trying to bring the chaos down. But yeah, so it looks like we're heading towards an acclaimed FTR thing. Which again,
you're right.
Yeah. What the hell? I don't know.
I thought that they did.
No, they have not. It makes no sense why they're starting an angle with somebody else when they have unresolved. Unless it was put they in either of those matches, because I know the Team Elite won the Anarchy in the Arena. There was nothing that said if they lost Anarchy in the Arena, they were losing their tag match, their tag title. Team AEW won the Blood and Guts with them in it. I just don't understand why we haven't gotten it yet. And again, this is not me. I'm not itching for the Acclaim to win the tag belts back or anything like that. But like, what? Very rarely do people win the eliminator matches. We had a team that actually did, and you haven't even given. It's been 2 months.
Yeah, the eliminator match was June 19th.
Okay. And now we are at August 8th. So we are almost 2 months removed from that, and they still have not got their tag team title match. Is that happening at All In? And then maybe I don't know, something. Anyway.
Oh, that could be All Out.
It could be. Right now, the Bucks are not. They're kind of not involved in anything that would have them. You would assume they're going to defend the titles at All In. You would assume. But they're not involved really in anything that's leading towards that unless they finally just go, okay, the Acclaimed are getting there.
So they weren't on TV.
They've been doing the Team AEW versus Team Elite stuff with the Blood and Gut. Like, that's really been their focus. They haven't been fighting in the tag team division.
Since that?
They weren't on TV last night. They weren't shown at all.
Right. Yeah. So they weren't on TV last night.
None of them were there. Okada.
So since Blood and Guts, that was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. They haven't done anything since
Blood and Guts. Have they not been on TV
at
all since then?
No. Well, maybe backstage stuff, but they haven't been. No. I don't know. Whatever. we'll move on. But like, that's something that we need to figure out over the next couple. We have 2 weeks of television before we get to All In. I'm sorry. We got to figure something out because I don't know what's going on. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up. As many likes help us get out and be to more eyes and get to do more things like this. So hook us up with a thumbs up. We have 8 likes now. It'd be swell to get to 10. So tell your friends. We then had Camille, accompanied by Mercedes Moné, the CEO, have a 2-on-1 handicap match against Clara Carter and Jasmine Howe. And it was a squash match. She beat the brakes off both these women. She looked great. She was doing all big-time moves and stuff like that. Camille looked excellent. But it was a squash match. She beats them 2-on-1. She wins with the Dominator, and she pins them both, actually. Good little spot for Camille to look like a monster, as they should be doing. But post-match, Mercedes gets on the mic, and she says, everyone officially say hi to the Brick House, Camille. So she kind of introduces it. She says that, and she did it by doing the Britt Baker, like DMD finger, poses that Britt does. So that was a nice little, she did that with the CEO. She went CEO. So that was good. She told everyone not to waste their breath because Britt's not here tonight, because her besties, the Young Bucks and the Elite, suspended her. So obviously they're taking some real life stuff with the suspension we all heard about, and they're turning that into the Elite suspended her, and Mercedes is thanking them. I kind of like that little way they did that. She says Britt was the person first signed here, but people never said she was the best. But Mercedes and her 2 belts lets everybody know that she's the best here in AEW. And then all of a sudden, she's interrupted by Schiavone. Tony Schiavone at the top of the ramp goes, excuse me. But I've just been informed by Christopher Daniels that Tony Khan has overruled the Elite and has lifted Britt Baker's suspension. And we have a satellite feed for Britt Baker. We then see Britt, and she says, hey, you can get a bodyguard. You can try to get me suspended, but you can't run, because when I make a commitment, I stick to it, because we all know that when things don't go your way, you like to take your ball and go home. Great line by Britt. Fantastic. Yeah. And she said, AEW is just the current flavor of the month for you, Mercedes. But for me, this is my home. And it all ends at All In when I beat you. And she goes, and if you doubt for a single second that I'm not going to find a way to get you, well, you can trust me, because I'm a doctor. And that's how it ends. So great line in there about taking the ball and go home. We all know what that is in reference to. Beautiful stuff. Quick, easy. I'm expecting Britt to be back in person next week. We'll see what happens, but I thought this was a good little piece of business, making Camille look super strong, beating 2 women, Mercedes doing her thing, Britt getting the suspension lifted, doing her thing. I thought this was really good, Drew.
Yeah, I really, listen, there's other things that have been going on behind the scenes that I don't really know about, so I'm not going to speak on it. The suspension was real, apparently, and MJF's involvement and whatever. Go to Fightful Select, best $5 in the business.
Yeah, you can find the complete rundown of everything that went on with that over there. Our buddies at Fightful, Sean and Jeremy and Joel and all them, Kate, they do a great job over there. So
yeah, so I'll leave that to them. You can go to them for that information. I like Britt Baker. I have never seen something from Britt Baker that I didn't like. So I'm really happy that she's back. I'm really happy that she's in the spot with Mercedes.
Big time match, man. Big time match.
It's like top heel, top face territory, honestly. If it weren't, if Mariah May and Toni Storm weren't happening, this would absolutely be in that slot.
But think about that, though. When and obviously we'll be talking more about All In leading in, but like, think about where we were even a year ago talking about the women's division. And right now there's only 2 matches lined up. I think they could easily add Willow and Stat to this pay-per-view as well and kind of a blow off to that thing. But when you look at the two matches we're getting at All In, you can make an argument that they're two of the three biggest matches on the show. Easily. You can make an argument that Tony and Mariah, obviously Danielson and Swerve will be the main event, I would assume. But you could make a strong argument to me that Tony and Mariah deserve to main event this All In as much as anybody else. And then you have two massively over wrestlers in Britt and Mercedes. Like, those are two gigantic matches for AEW, and they're two gigantic women's matches for AEW. And that's a good thing. That's a really good thing when you think about where we were a year ago on these airwaves complaining all the time about what the hell are you doing with the women's division? Well, now two of the biggest matches on their biggest show are involving the women, and that's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Really happy that they changed course on that.
Yeah. Yeah. It was main event time now, Drew. Anything goes. The American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, going one-on-one with Double J, Jeff Jarrett. Ricky Steamboat was there. He was on commentary. I know a lot of people go, I know a lot of people feel a certain way about Jeff Jarrett. I feel like the way they're using Jeff Jarrett right now is amazing. I like him as this older, wily veteran guy who's trying to give advice, trying to be there for the younger guys. He main evented Dynamite in 2024, people. All right. And I'm going to be honest with you. I really liked this match last night, Drew. I thought making it Anything Goes worked for it. I loved how they went into the concourse and they were using the trash cans and they were all around the ring and all stuff like that. I very much enjoyed this match. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, Bryan Danielson could be in there with a broom and it would be great. That might be the case. But you know what? He was in there with the two-time Hall of Famer and one of the best to ever do it as well. And he might be towards the end of his career, but that was a good showing for Jeff Jarrett last night. And it was a really good match with him and Danielson. Obviously, Danielson gets the victory, as you would expect. But I thought this was a really good main event. There was some post-match stuff, which we'll get into, but just the match itself, Drew, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved making it a no DQ and they could go anywhere. That really helped. I loved the spots, in the concession.
Yep.
Going on the trash can.
Yeah.
I really loved when they had Danielson like bouncing off of the crowd.
Yes.
He would go into the crowd, and then it was like
he would kind of like shove him a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. I really like that a lot. And I really, like you said, and I know some people are not a fan of Jeff Jarrett and Jeff Jarrett's position, but I really did a complete 180 on him ever since the Owen.
Of course, yeah.
This is perfect for him. And I'm so happy that I really do feel like, and I think he even mentioned it too, it really feels like he was finally able to grieve properly.
Yeah.
Owen's death from that tournament and just sitting down doing that, like, I think it was 10-minute long promo.
Like 9 or 10-minute thing, yeah.
That was like something that his heart needed.
Yeah.
And how do you keep going with Jeff Jarrett the way you've been after something like that? You just can't.
Yeah. And this whole match started.
I'm really, really happy that he's become a babyface from this and is doing these things. And he wasn't a heel in this match at all.
Well, he wasn't, but he did.
I mean,
he hit Danielson with the guitar. Yes, he hit Danielson with the guitar right at the entrance as Danielson was making his entrance. He comes from behind and just wails him with the guitar, and you see Karen and Jay Lethal like, "Yo, no, don't do this." And Jarrett's like, "Nah, man." Jarrett's like, "I'm main event. Like, I'm doing it." But like you said, he wasn't a heel throughout the he was serious at times. And stuff like that. And even doing that, like, you could tell that Karen, Jarrett, and Lethal were like, no, they were like, don't do that. You're better than that. You're a good guy. Like, don't do that. And he was just like, nah, man, this is my main event. It's no holds barred. You got to do what you got to do. I thought it was really good.
And he's trying to get Danielson to the place that he needs to be.
And that was the whole
Swerve
thing.
match.
I need to get Danielson ready for Swerve. He doesn't know. I need to get him ready. I need to get his body ready. And this is what he was doing. We got Scott saying it was good to see Ricky Steamboat. He's his favorite wrestler of all time. Huggy Bear saying, at first I thought Jeff Jarrett was best to be a backstage role, but in this last year, there's been something special about what he's doing. So I think a lot of the negative mindset from people with Jeff Jarrett is when Jeff Jarrett first came to AEW, he was being used on TV too much. And they were throwing him there. It felt like every week he was on television with Jay Lethal and his group. I understand that, but this role currently with what he's doing, basically since the Owen, I think they've been nailing it. I don't mind Jeff Jarrett having a one-off main event with Bryan Danielson on a Dynamite if it's every so often. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mind.
I think that's his. That may even be his first main event of Dynamite. I don't know if he's ever.
I didn't know if he had a tag team one or something like that. They were,
I think it was Collision.
Yeah, maybe. But I think this role where they have him is perfect. Like, he should be that guy. And then we obviously saw post-match. So there was post-match stuff that happened, and then there was post-online stuff that happened that we'll talk about. So the post-match stuff that happens is they both come to their senses after the match. They're both recovering. Steamboat gets in the ring. Double J is bleeding. He's just bleeding everywhere. Jarrett's bleeding, but Ricky checks on both of them. Danielson ends up clapping for Jarrett, kind of getting the crowd to be like, yo, hey, good match or whatever. And Ricky Steamboat lifts both their arms up. They have a nice moment in the ring with Steamboat and both of them. The crowd really, giving them praise for that match and stuff like that. We see Jarrett and Bryan shake hands and they hug a little bit, which was a nice little moment. And as they're doing that, we hear Swerve Strickland's music hit. We see Prince Nana. That's what's happening. They come down to the ring.
That was for you, Omar. I hope you were watching.
Yeah, we kind of did that pretty well together. We did that. That was pretty good.
Yeah, we did.
We did that pretty well. Strickland talks about how we get to see three legends on TBS with Jarrett, Ricky, and Swerve. He doesn't mention Danielson. He goes, oh, look at that. TBS gets to see three legends on their screen. Steamboat, Jarrett, and me. He says that all men have defined pro wrestling on this network. And the difference between the three of them and Bryan is that they've been world champions. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was a good line.
He says the only thing between Danielson and the title is Swerve. Bryan's one of the greatest of all time, and that's why it's going to be a huge honor to retire him and take control of his legacy. He wants a warm-up before All In, too. So next week on Dynamite, he says he wants to wrestle Wheeler Yuta. That should be a good one. And then Yuta kind of gets in his face and says he ain't a damn. He goes, I ain't a damn warm-up. He goes, I ain't a warm-up. But Swerve continues to tell Danielson he wants him to have a front row seat and next week to see why he's still the most dangerous man in AEW. And that's how the show ends. So first and foremost, before we dive in, because we saw some online stuff happen, which potentially setting up another match for All In, which we'll talk about in a second before we get out of here. What'd you think of this post-match stuff? Like you said, like Swerve playing that tweener role. Like he definitely knows that Danielson's going to get the majority of the cheers. So he's leaning into the heel side of him and being a dick a little bit because he knows everyone's going to be rooting for Danielson. Everyone knows that except me. I'm with you, Swerve. But everybody's going to be rooting for Danielson. So he's leaning into kind of being the heel of this match, even though we know he's not really a full-fledged heel anymore. But again, less than a year ago, he broke into someone's house and tried to kidnap their baby. Was talking to the infant child less than a year ago. So we know what he's capable of. But Drew, talk to me about this post-match stuff. You think it did a good job making you want to see this match more? Because right now they're at a point where we want to see the match because we know how good these two are, but I feel like last night really is really starting the juice of like him saying, oh yeah, the only difference is he hasn't been a champion here. Like Swerve's starting to lean in and be a dickhead a little bit.
Yeah, and I like it a lot. It's he'll be the clear heel for the Danielson match, and then when the Hangman match happens, he'll be the clear babyface.
Yeah,
and that's really what it has been since he became champion.
Yeah,
he can toe that line so well. So like here, I'm gonna be rooting for Danielson. You'll be rooting for him, but see, the reason why Danielson cannot. This can't be his last match. He can't retire.
No, I don't think it will be.
He said that this was gonna be his last year, and we're only at month 8.
There's his contract is technically his contract is technically up. He announced last week on Dynamite.
Oh, that's right.
That his contract was up on August 1st. So his contract, he according to what we know, he's wrestling without a contract right now. He's wrestling and he's finishing up. Now, if that means all in, all out, I assume it would mean Wrestle Dream because it's going to be in Washington State.
Right. Yeah.
That would make sense. But as of right now, or at least the last time a contract was mentioned from him on AEW television, he said that his contract was up on August 1st. So right now he is without a contract.
So we'll see. I mean, I'm just going to be really sad if he's done at All In, and that's it.
I don't think it'll be All In.
I got to see him at Forbidden Door, so I'm happy about that.
I don't think it'll be at All In. I think win or loss. I don't know. Could you see him winning the belt and then retiring as champion at All In? I would think he'd want to retire, or like not retire, but have his last full-time match in his home state. I would think in front of his family. But could you see him winning the belt at All In and then him saying, all right, that's it for me, and retiring? And then maybe
that's possible.
Or do you think
it worked well with Sting?
Yeah. Or do you think he does the prototypical thing where, his last match, he's going to go out on his back and kind of put somebody over, put Swerve back over, or
it seems like
lose it to Ospreay, or however they want to do it, whatever.
It seems like he's the guy that would do that.
Yeah, because he's clearly going to be sticking around because we know he has a big backstage presence. And Tony Khan has basically said, like, yeah, he's going to stop wrestling, but he's going to be here. Like, he's going to be helping run stuff like he's been doing, kind of thing. So he's not going anywhere. He's just not going to be regularly wrestling or on our TV screen, you would think. But yeah. So that kind of ended the build up for that. And then the last thing we'll talk about. So AEW did release another online thing after Dynamite. And it was Renee back there with Sanjay Dutt, Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, and Karen Jarrett. And she was asking Jeff about his condition, how he was doing, how he thought the match went, and all stuff like that. And really, before Jarrett could even say a word, all of a sudden you see Jarrett turn around and Hangman Adam Page is there. And he says like something real quick to Jarrett, and they just start brawling. And him and Jarrett are brawling. Sanjay Dutt tries to stop him. He throws Sanjay Dutt into the wall. Jay Lethal gets taken out. Karen Jarrett is screaming. And so we see Hangman and Jeff Jarrett start to attack. So we potentially could be seeing an all-in match with Jeff Jarrett and Hangman, which it looks like. And I'll tell you what, I'm fucking here for it, Drew. I'm here for it.
Oh, yeah.
And then also, in this backstage segment, out of nowhere, when Hangman and Jarrett are brawling, we see Tony Storm and Mariah come in the frame, and they're brawling. They just come in brawling. They were fighting somewhere else. They just come in, and it's just total chaos. And the whole online segment ends with Jarrett and Hangman beating the crap out of each other over here. Tony Storm and Mariah beating the crap. Security, the suits are back there. They're trying to get control.
It was chaotic in a beautiful way.
Oh, man, it was good. It was good stuff. So it seems like we already know Tony and Mariah's happened, but it seems like they're actually going to do it, Drew. And they're going to give us Hangman and Jeff Jarrett all in, I would think. That's where they're going to go.
I'm all for it.
I am too. It'll be a rematch from the first round of the tournament, the Owen tournament, where Hangman returned and just beat the piss out of Jeff Jarrett. It'll be a rematch there. I wouldn't mind if they kind of went the route they did with Danielson last night and they kind of make it another anything goes or another no DQ match. I think that's fit for Jarrett nowadays with his limitations and stuff. He can still go, don't get me wrong, but he's not a spring chicken anymore. So, I think it would be good for if they wanted to do that. I liked it. I'm all in on Hangman and Jarrett. If you're going to do a one-off at All In, I'm all in. No pun intended. Well, pun intended, really. But what'd you think of this little thing leading up to Jarrett and Hangman potentially?
Well, they're definitely playing into the backstage fight stuff, which I'm cool with that. Yeah. That's fine with me. I'd rather it be this than real backstage fights. But yeah, it's I'm totally good with them doing that match at All In. It's not like it's random.
Yeah.
Jarrett has been involved with Hangman a couple of times since the Owen tournament.
Mm-hmm.
He was in the Owen tournament with Jeff Jarrett, with Hangman, and then he was the enforcer for Hangman and Danielson.
Mm-hmm.
So it fits. It's perfect. And he thinks that Hangman thinks that Jeff Jarrett screwed him.
Yep.
And so it makes perfect sense for them to do this match. And it's going to be really fun.
Yeah, I agree. And that, my friends, was AEW Dynamite from last night. We are 17 days away from All In. So the next couple weeks of television should be really, really good. AEW is kind of in a stride right now. But I think this stretch here from now through Wrestle Dream, I think we're going to be getting a lot of heat. Because they have 3 pay-per-views in the span of like 6 weeks or some shit like that. Like it's and I think we're going to be really ramping up here over the next couple weeks leading to All In, but I think it's going to be a sprint through Wrestle Dream. I think there's going to be some fun stuff going on here. So, where you can find us now. You can find us here every Thursday morning at 10 a.m., just like you just did with Firmly AEW. And we just started this past Tuesday, but you can find us every Tuesday morning as well at 10 a.m. right here on this very channel, where Drew and I will be talking all things WWE with Firmly WWE. For everyone in the chat today, we thank you for tuning in. Drew, let the people know where they can find you, what you're up to, and then we'll do our little goodbye and we shall get out of here.
Find me on Twitter at the Drew Nicholas. Find me doing the Super Chat and Humper Chat collections on the Fightful post AEW Collision show on Saturday nights with Rick, Iridia, and Cresta, and Roundtable Pro Wrestling podcast on Wednesday nights, primarily Wednesday nights for trivia, Friday nights for Really Awful Wrestling.
Love it. You can find me at JPJ Loves Gaming on almost all social media platforms, on Twitch, on YouTube, Twitter, all that fun stuff. You can catch me here, like I just said, with Drew 2 times a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. And you can catch me here Thursday nights later on tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Me and my main man, Pluggo, the flagship show here at Love Wrestling, Between Two Beards. We'll be talking our SummerSlam experience tonight, the weekend, the interviews, all that fun stuff. We'll be reviewing SummerSlam, as well as touching all the things that happened on Raw and Dynamite and all that fun stuff. And football season's upon us. The Patriots' first preseason game is tonight. It will be going the same time we're live. I'm sure we'll be talking about that a little bit. It's preseason. I don't really care that much, but you know how we do at Beards. We talk a little bit of everything. So thank you everyone in the chat for popping in. Our new friends, Andy. We had Scott, Huggy Bear, Zach, Lawrence, Asian Joe was here, Ophelia, Omar, Spencer, all our pals.
Thank you, everybody.
In the chat. We appreciate you all very much. Thank you very much. And you will find Drew and I here again on Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. And until then, y'all know the drill. Peace out.